What is up guys, Jarv here back today jumping into Destiny 2. In today's video we're taking a look at a guaranteed farm. No one's really talking about this inside Destiny 2 and we're going to take a good close look at it in this video today. If you enjoyed the video be sure to leave a comment and rating down below and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now first things first, credit where credit is due, and a massive shout out to Truds, a good friend of mine and also a content creator here on YouTube. He covered this just over a week ago and is super close to 10,000 subscribers on his channel, so be sure to check him out. I'll leave the link to his YouTube down in the video description below. Now with the launch of the 30th anniversary pack, we got massive sandbox changes and various updates for season 15, and some of the eagle-eyed gamers amongst you may have noticed some of the changes coming to the Dreaming City, and specifically the Blind Well. In the patch notes for the most recent update under gameplay and investments, you can see here Bungie have added guaranteed drops to the Dreaming City weapons for completing the Blind Well activity. Now there are 7 Dreaming City weapons in total. You can get your hands on things like the Twilight Oath. Now whilst rapid fire frame snipers aren't the strongest in Destiny 2 right now, you can still get some pretty disgusting rolls on this sniper, so it's definitely worth having one in your collection just in case of future updates. Alongside that we have the Vouchsafe, probably the best Void Scout rifle inside Destiny 2. Fantastic for Grandmaster Nightfalls and an absolute must for any collector in the game. Next we have the Sleepless, an arc rocket launcher that can roll with things like auto-loading holster and chain reaction. So if you're looking for a rocket launcher for crowd control that isn't Galahorn, this could be the one. Next we have the Waking Vigil, one of the best 140 RPM hand cannons in the game. It can roll with things like ricochet rounds, rangefinder and opening shot all on the same weapon. So if you haven't been able to get your hands on a good Ice Luna, this is a great alternative. Then we have the Retold Tale, which can roll with things like Assault Mag, Quick Draw and Killing Wind, making it a legendary version of the Chaperone. It's got some of the best range on any shotgun inside Destiny 2 and is most definitely worth adding to your collection. Next we have the Abide Return, a solar sword, one of few inside Destiny 2 and well worth picking up. And the 7th weapon on offer is the Tiger Spy, a 450 RPM auto rifle that can have some pretty incredible rolls. So even if you're not a fan of auto rifles, it's definitely still worth picking up. Now in terms of accessing the Blind Well, you'll need to pick up some Charge of Light. You can pick these up from Petra over in the Dreaming City, and these will set you back Dark Fragments. You can earn these from chests, public events, bounties from Petra herself, and even patrols over in the Dreaming City. Now tier 1 Charge with Light will set you back 5 Dark Fragments, with tier 2 setting you back slightly more, costing you 13 Dark Fragments, and tier 3 being the most expensive, and these will set you back 20 Dark Fragments. Now you do have a maximum of 200 Dark Fragments that you can carry in your inventory, but if you're a bit light on Dark Fragments you can even use her material exchange and pick these up for Barian Bower, so you should never be short of Charges of Light when entering the Blind Well in the Dreaming City. Now if you do find yourself low on Dark Fragments and Barian Bower, you can in fact find Charges of Light from chests in the Dreaming City itself. These are quite a rare drop, so I highly recommend using Petra where you can to save yourself some time. Now you'll find the Blind Well accessible from the Delvian Mist over in the Dreaming City, and to kick it off you'll need to approach the tall pillar in the middle of the room and submit your Charge of Light token. The activity will start almost like a public event and you'll need to progress through various zones in the area itself. There are in fact 5 waves in the entire activity, with the final one being reserved for the boss fight itself, and each round will take a maximum of 2.5 minutes. Now each wave will consist of a protective bubble, which is protecting you from the toxic gases in the area. To complete each wave though, you'll need to defeat combatants which help deposit light into the well and will progress you through each wave. Now the 2nd, 3rd and 4th wave will take place in different zones inside the Blind Well, with players getting a buff called the Touch of Skye, which helps protect you for 5 seconds when moving between zones. Now during each wave you'll need to be on the lookout for anathemas. These are glowing enemies which will drop a orb, and this will grant you a buff called Harmony. Now Harmony is a buff that lasts for 15 seconds, will allow you to stay in the toxic gases in the area during that time and also supercharge all your abilities. Now as well as this, by picking up the Harmony buff, you'll also be able to attack the Servant of the Plague. This is a mini boss which spawns on multiple occasions throughout each wave, but comes with a protective shield. Only the Guardians with the Harmony buff can remove this shield, but once removed, all Guardians in the area can take them out. Now for every Servant of the Plague that you defeat, this will grant you an extra 8% progress on the light that you're charging the well with, so it helps speed up the Blind Well runs considerably if you can take them out. Now in the final wave, you'll come face to face with the boss, and the amount of bosses that you need to defeat will depend on the tier activity that you choose to run. Now the great thing about the final wave is there's no more bubbles or toxic gases that you need to contend with, but you'll need to use the harmony buff, as you'll need to use this to remove the shield of the bosses before you can defeat them. So be sure not to waste your supers until that shield has been removed. So that's a quick recap on the Blind Well, all the mechanics, how to speed up your runs in the Blind Well, and also how to efficiently take out the Servants of the Plague, as well as the bosses through each tier. But which tier is the most efficient to farm, and what loot do you get from each tier when you complete them? Now both tier 1 and tier 2 in the Blind Well will drop one single Dreaming City weapon upon completion. The only differences between those tiers are the amount of bosses in the 5th and final wave. Now when it comes to tier 3, things are slightly different. Not only do you have 3 bosses to contend with when completing the 5th and final wave, but you also have the delay at the end of the encounter to allow you to put in an unstable charge with light. The unstable charge with light will allow you to turn the Public Well event heroic. Now with the heroic versions of the bosses, you no longer need to use the harmony buff in order to remove the boss's shield. It will vary from week to week depending on the encounter, but for the most part you'll need to work with your fire team to either collect relics, bait Skye at the feet of bosses, or even take out the meatball as efficiently as possible. Now your first heroic completion each week will grant you double loot drops when completing the Blind Well. This isn't exclusive to weapons though, as you can get one weapon and one piece of armor, as it opens up to the rest of the Dreaming City loot pool. So it's with that in mind, it's only worth running the heroic version of the event once per character per week to take advantage of the double loot drops. Outside that though, I would only stick to tier 1 or tier 2 to ensure you're completing them as efficiently as possible. Now as well as the Dreaming City drops upon completion, you'll also have a high drop of blue engrams, prime engrams and umbral engrams, as these drop on a very regular basis inside the Blind Well itself. It can often mean that your inventory is full, so if you do open a chest and you don't see your weapon drops, don't worry, as all your weapon drops will go to the postmaster. Now if you're running the Blind Well efficiently, each run will take you roughly 6 to 7 minutes or so you can find your postmaster filling up very fast indeed. Mine filled up so fast I actually lost my Ascendant shards on my Warlock this week. But if it means that I get some God roll weapons that I can take into Witch Queen and beyond, then that's well worth the effort. Now as well as completing runs of the Blind Well to get Dreaming City loot, whilst completing the Blind Well activity you can actually finish the Oracle Offering Bounty too. This only takes 2 tier 3s to complete and it will guarantee a Dreaming City drop for you. It isn't exclusive to weapons though, but if you're looking to maximise your Dreaming City drops, then it's well worth getting done alongside the Blind Well completions. Now as we said earlier in the video, if you haven't got your hands on a God roll Ice Luna just yet, then the Waking Vigil is a great alternative. Retold Tower is one of the best shotguns currently inside Destiny 2 and is an absolute monster inside the Crucible. So over the last few years, if you haven't got God rolls on these weapons just yet, now is your opportunity when jumping into the Blind Well over in the Dreaming City. So there we have it guys, a good recap on the Blind Well over in the Dreaming City and how you can get guaranteed drops of all the Dreaming City weapons. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out one of the 2 videos you see here in these cards for more Destiny 2 content. And if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump back into the game as always guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.